Hello and welcome back to another episode of Develop, Integrate, and Sustain TV. Today we're going to be talking about thin computing. We're going to go over at a real 50,000 foot level of exactly what thin computing is and what it does for our environment. We'll talk a little bit about the clients and how these desktop images, Linux and Windows, are actually deployed down to the client. We'll talk a little bit about server scalability and service level agreements. We'll talk about user files and user settings. This is all under the discussion of a local area network. See other movies that we have related to geographically dispersed networks. Today we're just going to spend some time on understanding a little more about local area networks and the benefits of thin computing. Let's go ahead and continue here. Illustrated here before us is the ability that the machines in a thin computing environment have the ability to access any operating system from any machine. So when you set up a thin computing environment, this machine is represented as a Linux machine, this one is represented as a Windows machine, but it doesn't have to be that way. This could easily be Windows, this could easily be Linux, it really doesn't matter. Also, the point here to recognize is that the image is actually taken from the centralized storage that you have. So the image actually comes out, the request is made, the image is delivered. Now that image can be delivered in one of two ways primarily. Thin computing technologies are broken down by server processed and client processed thin computing. Let me give you an example. A server processed thin computing would mean that the image itself is processed here. All the horsepower come from the servers. A client processed thin computing means that the image that's being supplied to the thin client resides here at the servers, although the processing power occurs here at the client. A hybrid approach of server processed and client process based technologies must be applied to make a successful thin computing infrastructure. Alright, so user settings and user files are centralized in a thin computing environment. The age-old battle of having all the user files stored in a centralized storage is over. That battle is now finally settled. When we go to thin, we have the option of removing the hard drives from these local desktops. We can also run them there to provide cache and some other performance benefits, but we have the option of removing those hard drives. A key advantage to thin computing is security, securing data at rest. All the data here resides in the storage underneath our network environment, and all of our settings reside here as well. So we'll talk in just a moment about how many users can use a single image, but this gives you the ability to have your settings anywhere you are and your data anywhere you are. You could be working in California one day and New York the next day, and when you boot up your thin computing infrastructure, your machine, it will look exactly like it did in California if you're in New York and vice versa. So it's really a very nice technology for having your settings and your data follow you. Alright, one of the great advantages to thin computing also is the reduction of management of the environment. So we have many images that we can use here to supply our users. In a standard environment, we have, let's say, 1,000 users with 1,000 unique images. We have to patch those and maintain those. In a thin computing environment, we have what we call one-to-many images. So this Linux image and this Windows image here can populate any one of these desktops with no problem at all. So remember, we have our user settings and user files individual, so we can take and have one Linux image serve literally hundreds of users at one time, of course based on performance of the server. So just to recap here, it's a short 5-minute video. We have settings and users files follow the user wherever they go. Settings and files are stored in the data center. One image supports multiple users, and servers are scalable to meet and support service level agreements. If you'd like additional information, please email me at Jeffrey.L.Lush@gmail.com or give me a call. Thank you.